Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest, Dave Taylor, and he's the co-founder of In-Front Marketing. So today's conversation is going to be all about SE SEO, social media, advertising, e-commerce, B2B. He's got a great experience, and I'm really happy to welcome him to the show. So Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, Canada, and talk about your early experiences, what you did, and how you got into advertising, marketing, and all of that.
Yeah, that's right. I'm up here in Calgary, Alberta, just western Canada. Many of us will know Banff and Jasper in that area, which is Banff is right out our window, about 30-minute drive, 40 minutes from the heart of downtown Calgary. So it's a beautiful place to live and work. I've been in marketing myself for about 16 years. Just kind of found my way into it through doing sales and working with businesses. I was managing a store and doing advertising, and I started to kind of take an interest to it. Started working with the Yellow Pages, did that for a few years. Worked in local media, both in print and in digital, also for a number of years. And then we started the agency here 9 years ago in 2015. Our focus was really just to help people identify gaps within their business, but also truly understand the ROI and the return that they were seeing when they were advertising. When we started, and it's very much still the same, where a lot of agencies and corporations turn a blind eye to data. They don't want to be accountable for revenue or conversions, and so there's a big blind spot for business owners on the true impact advertising has within their business. And that was really just where we started. And then we started to really offer more services: web design, SEO, Google Ads, social content creation and advertising, and then really into the branding and automations. And now we find ourselves buying traditional media and TV and radio and billboards and wrapping it into the full strategy. So really, we look at ourselves as a partner for our business owners, an extension to their marketing team, or really, the marketing team itself, so they can use us in many ways. We don't charge a retainer. It's just deliverables. What are we doing? How are we doing it? What are we accountable for? And what is our role? What hat are we taking off of the hat rack? And then really just helping them get a clear picture on what's happening. So it's been quite a journey, and the years go by fast, but it's been great.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And this area of marketing, advertising, is really changing, especially in the digital age. And we got social media, and now we have AI, and everybody's saying, you saw what they did to TikTok, and even you have an email list and a blog. One thing they're always saying, SEO, and the thing is, SEO is great if you can rank up in the search, but SEO is really controlled by Google. So you still have a third party. You don't really have control when it comes to SEO. So what is your recommendation for your content marketing strategy approach?
Yeah, I think for us, there's a couple things that go into it. I mean, SEO is extremely competitive still, and really you need to utilize the tools that are available to you to understand what your competitors are doing, how their sites are performing, the amount of traffic that they're getting, the backlinks that they're getting, the number of keywords that they're appearing for, and then how are you going to combat that? Really, what Google's looking for now is to build authority with your business and to use content to build that authority. They call it helpful content now. So they want you to help a user understand how to work with your business, what type of products you're offering, how those affect, their daily life, or how it affects, their journey to engagement of a product. Google, you see when you search for something, has those frequently asked questions. So they want to utilize your content to answer just generalized questions from the audience. And they want long form content now, 1,500 to 1,800 word blogs on site, not the generalized short form piled with keywords, 500 to 800 word content. So what we like to do is look at it from a thought leadership perspective and a controlled narrative. If you can position your business as a leader in the space and answer those questions and become an authority, that content is going to have a positive effect for your SEO. It's also great content that you can create video and social content from, which is going to give you other platforms to leverage for visibility. And as you gain traffic and visibility and engagement within that content, Google's going to recognize that and give the authority to it. So although you can't do this overnight, the long-term strategy is thought leadership, ensuring that you're identifying a personal brand, a narrative that's specific to your business, helping people understand the products that you're offering, how to utilize them in their daily life, how you stack up against competition. You know, if you're giving those reviews and those recommendations on industry terms as opposed to just business specific terms, those are great for keyword visibility and also trust, because Google doesn't want you pumping your own tires the whole time. They want you to give general information about the industry. And if they can take that from you and put it in front of somebody who's doing research, then that individual is going to engage with your brand, and that's where you're going to win from it.
And where does because we think we have a lot of control, we've got all these strategies and technologies, but these big players can just kind of change the algorithm, suit to what they want, to get the maximum eyeballs for their advertisers. So and especially with AI, how do you compete with, like, now they're trying to, the answer to a lot of these things was use AI to push it out, but now they're trying to kind of moderate AI content. So where does AI fit into all of this?
I think, we're at the very beginning of what it really is, but it's a very useful tool. We can utilize AI to create content, but we can also control our narrative. We can create topics and stories, and we can use AI to give us extensions of content. So one story turns into 3, turns into 5, etc. So instead of just creating one long form blog, you can create similar content, but that's written differently. The key is to vet everything. The amount of content that gets shared with us that's clearly written by AI that doesn't have a proper user journey, like, Google's going to understand that, and they're going to understand that there's break in communication, and what they're looking for is easy readership and a journey for a user that's easy for them to complete, and that you're going to give them an extension to continue the journey. And AI just is very matter of fact, to the point. A lot of the information is still outdated. We're not using current information, so you have to update and vet all that existing content that's being written. But the beautiful thing is that you can now accelerate the amount of content that you're creating. And that's how bigger companies are winning the game, is just how much more content they can create quickly than you. And also, you have to be careful about backlinks. Some of them are gonna have tens of thousands of backlinks. You're competing in an area where a small to medium business is going to have 100, maybe 50 backlinks. And the answer for everybody is, we'll just pay for them. But if you're not vetting those backlinks and understanding the quality of the domains that are representing your business, that can also hurt you. So there's a lot of factors that go into SEO and having somebody working on it diligently. But there are lots of really good systems out there to increase your backlink outreach, to increase your level of content. You got to put I like to say, I like to look at it from the customer perspective in everything that I do. And how does a customer engage with a doctor or dentist or lawyer or chiropractor, or, how do they buy a pair of shoes or buy a set of tickets to a hockey game, or whatever it is, and regardless of what industry we work in, we always put on that customer lens and try to understand what their journey is like. And if they're finding our clients, great. If not, what are the people that they're finding doing that's controlling the narrative? And then how do we take steps to follow suit and do that? In our business, marketing is very much a B2B business. It's very much the most competitive space. And we find ourselves ranking quite high for SEO locally, marketing agencies locally, digital agencies locally. And we're a 10, 12 person team, 2,000 square foot office space, 10-year business sort of thing, and growing. But we compete against some of the largest agencies in Canada, and our positioning speaks to that. But we do it through the quality of our content and understanding in the landscape what narrative other agencies are pushing and what customers are asking. And if you look through the blog on infrontmarketing.ca, a lot of it is very much tailored to answering questions on analytics, on data, on different platforms that people can use for understanding advertising impact, and just doing some comparisons of social media channels and things like that. And as you understand, how to answer those questions and become a source of trust, not just for Google, but for the customer, it's
Mhm.
not always going to be who produces the most content. It's going to be who produces the most quality content. So AI is great. I mean, it's going to accelerate a lot of those things, but it's going to take a human touch to say, okay, in the marketplace, how should I be crafting this narrative? And then how can I vet the content that's coming out? So it's really easy for a human to read. And knowing in the back of your mind, 90% of that content is going to get read by robots. It's not going to get read by a human anyway, but you still have to write it that way that it has a nice, easy user journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And kind of the next question I have for you is with these digital marketing trends, with your extensive experience, why do some businesses struggle with digital advertising marketing? What are some misconceptions and how do you help them see its real value?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to look at here. If you want to look at from the small perspective or the big business perspective. From the small business perspective, I mean, in Western Canada, we're at times 5 years behind adopting digital platforms and understanding how to best integrate them into our businesses. So, that being said, we have to just look at the landscape today and try to understand what customers are doing. And TikTok is a big part of this. In Canada, business owners are very slow to adopt TikTok for lots of reasons. I think we're all considering the fact that it might not be around for a long time. We're slow adopters to video in our business and investing into video and marketing of that video. So that's a platform that is underutilized big time in Canada, and people don't recognize that Gen Z uses it like Google now. TikTok did an amazing job of recognizing a trend and then advertising and marketing a trend to turn it into a behavior. They recognized that Gen Z was starting to say, learning dance moves, learning recipes, learning about businesses on TikTok, and then searching out and finding ways to learn more. And then they created this trend called TikTok taught me. And they advertised it so heavily that it became a behavior that people just utilize TikTok like Google now. So business owners need to understand that, and Gen Z or not, your audience is on there, and there are certainly still a number of different age groups that utilize it in different ways. So small to medium business for me, it's about building the foundation. What's the website doing for you? How are we getting that traffic? How are we competing in the areas where our customers are showing the highest intent to purchase, mostly being Google SEO, Google Ads? What's our narrative for social media? How are we creating that content? What are we going to do with that content to gain additional visibility? How are we advertising within those platforms? Instagram, even Pinterest, Reddit, Snapchat. There's a number of different options that business owners just need to understand the impact that they can have and then measure everything, right? Many business owners, the amount of customers we come across that don't have Google Analytics installed on their site or don't have access to it because it was installed by an agency and isn't being used. It's crazy to me that the business owners are turning a blind eye to a free platform that gives them clarity on true impact, but then build conversions in it so you can understand, like, if somebody comes to my website from Facebook, what's their journey to a purchase, and then what are we actually seeing in terms of impact if we amplify or grow the visibility, so that you can make some decisions long term about, is that a valuable platform? And then when it comes to larger scale businesses, it's about competition, and you understand that you're going to have tons and tons of visibility across all these different platforms, but you're also going to have competitors. So now you need to create awareness, and you need to create brand messaging, and you need to be relatable. And what are these platforms going to do to help you do that? It's about personal branding. It's about building connections. It's about peeling back the curtains and comparing yourself against the other big brands. And you see lots of companies doing acquisition now of larger, like, it's almost like they're banding together, but it's really one large brand who's buying everybody up. But you see this across lots of major chain and retail stores, where you can go in and they'll have small sections of products from other companies that they've essentially purchased, right? And then I would say that the industry that has done this the fastest, in my opinion, is the microbrewery industry. Most people don't understand that most of them are owned by the large brewers, And what they did was, again, recognize a trend that micro brewing, small batch breweries, the more intimate tap rooms, that's where people want to spend their time. But it's a gateway to data and to, again, provide visibility for larger brands. So even in our major sports arenas, you still see the major branding for the large, beer companies. But, what are people buying? They're buying the craft beers when they get to the concession stand. They're owned by the same company. Most people just don't recognize this. So they're utilizing acquisition as gateways. Right? You can look at lots of different ways to analyze this from an enterprise perspective or just a small business perspective of how are people accessing products in your industry? Are they buying things that are relevant to your business that in places that you should be? And you can form an advertising or marketing strategy around that as long as you understand the journey of a customer.
Yeah, such a really great answer. You were mentioning TikTok, and I'm like, yeah, it's his greatest product, and it outshined Instagram and a lot of US social media companies in the US basically destroyed it because and they say, this is free market. But the other question I have is one of the common complaints I get from business owners with social media, because if you go to, like, if you, for example, you talk to support on like Facebook or Twitter or like Instagram, it really reminds me of like going to like the post office or just kind of just and these are like the best companies, like most innovative companies, and then at any point you can get rugged. So why put so much effort and time into these things that they're good for your business, but like all they want is those views for their advertisers, and they're kind of just using you and so what's the strategy? Like, is it email list? Is it a blog? Social media? Is it a newsletter, podcast? What is it?
Yeah, I think that you got to look at it from what industry, right? Like if we're talking about something specific to a certain industry, right? But it's going to formulate a little bit of everything. Email lists are underutilized, and as much as maybe people send out the odd MailChimp or Constant Contact, they're still not automating it appropriately or understanding, like, is this a user who's engaged in the last 30 days, in the last 6 months, in the last 12 months, and then what type of message is it going to take to bring that user in? And then pairing it to things like your blog and making sure that when you do publish a blog, that it actually goes out to the right audience through those channels of social media and through those channels of email. And can you automate? Can you automate those steps? Many businesses don't want to pay for a HubSpot integration or a larger platform that allows for better automations and segmentation of audiences. But again, it can be a very, very valuable asset because it saves time and it provides additional visibility to everything that you're doing. So again, you got to vet those platforms, but a good strategy is going to include multiple touch points and a consumer-based product, a pair of shoes or a set of tickets or I guess a visit to the dentist or a chiropractor. That's 6 or 7 touch points that you need to maintain with a new customer to bring visibility, and that's going to be a Google ad, it's going to be a display ad, it's going to be a social ad, it's going to be an email, it could be a text message, it could be an engagement with a blog. It could be a billboard or a radio asset, or it could be a podcast, right? If you want to talk B2B and you want to talk industrial clients or technology clients or logistics, it's upwards of 25 different touch points. And really what you're doing at 25 is relationship building. So there's LinkedIn outreach, there's videos on the leadership team, there's very specific blog topics on industry trends. There's white papers, there's a bunch of different things that are going to increase those touch points. And then there's sales and there's physical outreach. There's networking and being present in the business community. So marketing can affect, a large portion of the business, but there's going to be a number of different things that even marketers are going to help people understand that this isn't you don't buy it from Google. You got to get into the community and do it, but it's going to be a part of your 25 touch points or of your 8 touch points. So, like I said, any good strategy is going to encompass all of those. But I truly, again, I like to play this game of intention versus awareness. What's the intention of our audience? How intent driven are they to purchase a very specific product? Because if they have high intent, then your touch points are going to be less. The one thing you may have is more competition. But if their intent to purchase your product is very low, or you're a new product or a new business, then you have to go the route of awareness. And awareness is more expensive, and it's branding, and it's making sure that you're visible in lots of different locations. Maybe it's at hockey arenas because that your audience is taking their kids to hockey on the weekends, or partnering with the recreation centers or the gyms, or there's advertising screens in medical offices that can be leveraged for different practitioners, right? There's screens in the elevators when you walk into a professional office building. Many people don't realize that those elevator screens are connecting to data directly from your phone. You're standing in the elevator and you're going up to the 25th floor. That device is not just giving you the weather and the traffic. It's connecting to your phone and it's giving you an ad that's relevant. I like to tell this story, really quickly, that for us, we gave a Christmas gift one year. It was just quite simple. It was a bottle of JP Wiser's. It was branded with Lanny McDonald, one of the Calgary Flames hockey players who won the Stanley Cup in 1989 and played for the Toronto Maple Leafs and had a storied career. And so they did a collaboration with a number of these alumni players, and Lanny was one of them. So living in Calgary, it makes no brainer. We're going to go buy this bottle of rum, but I couldn't find it. So I was online trying to figure out where could I find this product. And then I'm driving home from work, and there's a billboard on the side of the street, and sure enough, there's an ad on that digital billboard for JP Wiser's. People don't recognize that this is happening everywhere we go. These screens are digital billboards. They're transit. They're in restaurants. They're in medical offices. They're in gyms. They're in office buildings in the elevators. So we can identify audiences in a number of different ways based on their interests and their behavior, and then deliver them ads across all these different platforms, connecting it to a very specific message. Talk about connected TVs now, Amazon Prime, Roku, Netflix getting into advertising. Like there's no way for us to get away from it. And that data is not just an ad on TV, that's connected to the user and the device that's sitting in front of the TV and watching it. It's connected to your social platforms and the content that you're consuming on social media. So now you're consuming ads and content on Facebook, and you're sitting in front of your device, and your Amazon Prime is delivering you the same message. It's not coincidence, right? And I think that that's something that people need to understand, and understand that if you're going heavy into awareness, that there's still a way to do it that's very audience specific. The other side of it is, if you have high intent, just be visible where the intent is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. How can people contact you and follow you and reach out to you and check out your work, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. It's infrontmarketing.ca. You can hit me on LinkedIn. Just search Dave Taylor Infront Marketing. It's easy for me to be found. On Instagram, we are Infront YYC. And again, happy to take DMs and talk to people that way. We are a team here, so you will have a number of different team members monitoring those platforms. But if you come through LinkedIn, you'll get me directly. But yeah, happy to take consultations. It is a free consultation with us. We do free audits of Google ad accounts, social media accounts, as well as free SEO audits for websites. So we can do some baseline analysis, provide some consultations. And like I said, we also work on large, multi-million-dollar ad campaigns for enterprise clients. So our barrier to entries are low. We love to support small to medium businesses, but we're very competitive across the landscape of digital agencies. So happy to have those conversations and support people regardless of kind of where they're at.
Yeah. Awesome. And what a great, fantastic conversation. And thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Christopher. I really appreciate the time today, and I'll look forward to doing this again with you sometime.